Welcome back. I am Saldablerd, and welcome to the channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, please. It is free. But today, I'm just going to go on a little rant. I know it's going to be about adversity, but you got to remember that adversity makes us stronger. I feel like without adversity, I don't know where I would be right now. And most people would hate to have to go through things. When we go through things, we always ask God why. And it got to a point in my life where I started saying, God, thank you. And that is because I realized that facing these adversities head on and going through the struggle is where you will find growth. Because just like going to the gym, you have to lift heavy weights. You have to put your body and push it to the edge in order to grow. And as I started to go through things in my real life, instead of running away from the situations, I embraced them. I learned from the things that were being brought into my life. And as I learned from these things, I grew from these things. And as I grew from these things, my life started to evolve slowly. And it's like if we run from adversity and always call it a loss, we're scared of growth. But when you face adversity and take the lesson, you'll learn, you'll adapt, and you'll stop going through the same cycles because life is about cycles. And sometimes you can be stuck in the same cycle. And cycles can come in relationships and habits in all sorts of ways. An example of a cycle would be you're dating someone and you finally break up with them. You know that they're toxic, but instead of taking any accountability, you blame everything on them. And you don't learn anything from the experience. You don't grow from the experience. Then you find another person and you realize that although the flesh has changed, this is a different person. That person carries the same spirit, and it's like you're dating a carbon copy of your ex, but in a new person. It's because God is presenting the same trial to you. You have not grown. You have not learned your lessons. So he's gonna send a familiar spirit in an unfamiliar body, and that is an example of a cycle. I know so many of us went through this, and if you one of them, drop it in the comments. Drop it in the comments and let me know. But you have to learn, even when we want to put all the blame on them, we got to take accountability for our actions. We got to take accountability for even stooping down to their level and putting ourselves in a situation to be with this person. So no matter how you feel about a situation, there's always room to take accountability. And if you're not willing to take that accountability, you're not willing to learn the lesson. And too many of us lack accountability. We don't want to be accountable for anything. Therefore, we're never learning lessons. We're never growing. And so I realized that I had to take accountability in my life for the things that I've been through, even for things that happened to me as a child, things that I feel like I had no power over, and things that happened to me as a child that I didn't speak about until I was a grown up, things that I held inside. And I had to take accountability for that. But as I took accountability, even though it was hard to own up to these things, I realized that after I took that accountability, things got lighter, things got easier. And it made it easy for me to do this thing called accountability more often. And I started to see how life got lighter. I started to see how the trauma started to be slowly released. And that's another thing. We all harbor so much trauma. And this trauma will never go anywhere if you're not willing to take accountability, if you're not willing to self-reflect. Prayer and meditation are like magical superpowers. You want to pray, talk to God, meditate, listen to God, sit in your feelings, sit in self. Reflect on the things that you have suppressed, because a lot of us fall into addictions. We drink, we smoke, we do these things to get away from how we truly feel. We do these things to get away from our inner self. But sometimes we have to embrace our inner self, because if you don't embrace your inner self, you'll never heal. Therefore, you'll spend your whole life running from yourself. So it's important to spend time with yourself, meditate, forgive yourself, take accountability for things you went through in order to grow. And it's going to be tough at the beginning, but the more and more you practice these things, the easier and easier it gets. Sorry, the camera messed up. But embrace change. Too many of us are stuck stagnant, and stagnancy is the opposite of growth. It's important to have a growth mindset. Therefore, you're adaptive. Therefore, you're constantly evolving. Because when you get stuck in your old ways, sometimes being stubborn can be a hindrance on our life. Although sometimes being stubborn can be a benefit if you're being stubborn with a growth mindset. You see, you can be stubborn standing on your beliefs and standing on your facts. But when you're just stubborn for the heck of it, you're hurting yourself more than you are helping yourself. Because sometimes God will send people to help you, but you being too stubborn are not willing to accept the help. You're not willing to accept the change. If you're not willing to change, you're going to go through the same pain over and over and over again. And some of us, we fall in love with the pain. We think that we're only worth the pain. And when we start to get this mindset, the idea of growing, the idea of better, it seems unrealistic. It's not my life. I'm not capable of this. I don't deserve this. And the truth is, whatever your truth is true. If you don't feel like you deserve growth, then you don't. If you don't feel like you deserve to be happy, then you don't. That is called being pessimistic. And when you are pessimistic, your thoughts control your reality. And if all you have is negative thoughts of self, you will manifest a negative reality of self. But the moment you switch that mindset and you realize that you're meant for greatness, and you realize that you deserve to be happy, and you realize that you should not be going through the pain, reality will switch. But the thought must also have inspired action. It must also have belief. You must truly believe these things internally, and you must work on making yourself better, and reality will follow. But it's important not to get stuck in the loop of negativity, because you will constantly manifest it for yourself unless you're willing to change. That's why change is so important. And sometimes, even with work, we can be somewhere that's a dead end job, but we feel like we need this place. And on the inside, we feel like we're meant for so much more. But are you going to put your worth in yourself and follow your dreams and do what you know you're called for? Or are you going to do what you're comfortable for or comfortable with? Are you going to stay with that person knowing that they're dragging you down, knowing that they don't love you, knowing that they hurt you? Or will you choose yourself and learn to love yourself? Because so many of us look for love in relationships and never learn to love ourselves. And I don't know if you know this, a relationship takes two healed people. Therefore, if you don't love yourself, you're never going to truly find real love. You will find people that you're infatuated with. And these people, you will fall in love with them, but they'll never truly be able to love you because you're not healed. And when you're not healed, you cause a lot of damage to your partners. You cause a lot of damage to yourself. You self-sacrifice. You are destructive. So a lot of us don't like being single. And that is because we're not okay with self. When you're single, when you're alone, you're forced to reflect upon self. And that's why people resort to drugs and alcohol to get away from self. But you need to embrace self in order to grow. So it's important to take time to be alone. Isolation is when God will speak to you the most. It's when God will give you the revelations. It is when you will have time to reflect. And as you reflect, you can address your issues. You can address your shortcomings. You can address where you need growth. You can address the losses that you used to take and turn them into lessons. And this is something that I've went through on my own. I spent a lot of time in isolation, reevaluating my life, changing my life, learning how to think different, learning how to think more positively in order to attract different and attract more positivity. But if you're not willing to change, these things will never happen. You will be stuck in that cycle. And these are examples of why adversity is important, because adversity helps you embrace change. Adversity helps you reflect upon self. Adversity helps you reflect upon yourself. Adversity helps you embrace change. Adversity helps you get out of self-sacrificing behavior, people pleasing. Adversity teaches you about growth, teaches you about overcoming, teaches you about how to not run from challenges and then embrace challenges in order to achieve growth. But adversity is important. In the comments, when you are faced with adversity, what do you do? Do you run? Do you procrastinate? Or do you take the adversity head on and handle it? Because the sooner you learn to weather the storm, the sooner the storm will end. You see, if you run from the storm is hitting you and you're running the same direction, you're in that storm a lot longer. But when you embrace that storm head on, run into it, now y'all going on opposite trajectory. You're going north, the storm is going south, and you're moving through the storm. You're going to reach the end of the storm before the person going south, just like the storm is going south, because they're traveling with the storm, because they're scared to embrace the storm. Embrace the storm. You will get through. All it takes is faith, hard work, and dedication to self. Self is very important. We don't need to please other people, while at the same time, if you focus on yourself and you do everything that you're supposed to and you live your life in order to be the greatest version of you, I'm pretty sure you'll make a lot of people proud. And sometimes it won't be the people closest to us, but you'll find your soul tribe. You'll find the ones that truly resonate with you. And it's not about trying to please people. It's about pleasing self. For so many years, we have been pleasing people and sacrificing ourselves, and it put us in struggle after struggle, in hardship after hardship. No more. Embrace the change, embrace the growth, adverse through the adversity. I am Saldablerd. I hope this has been nice. Until next time, stay woke, kings and queens. And if you made it to the end of the video, please drop a phoenix in the comment, like, share, subscribe. Until next time.